late. So that's on them. But because we are getting started, Loyal, can you please return to your seat?
Yeah. Miss, guess what I got?
What? In this class?
No. Yeah.
Oh, you're not talking about grades.
No, I am.
You have like what, like an F?
Oh,
Like a plus,
no.
maybe?
Oh, no, not talking about grades.
What do you have?
I got boom boom.
What? Boom sauce?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so nice. But you distribute it to the rest of your classmates?
Oh.
All right, just a reminder, we gotta start building these routines. I know I don't always have the packets up here, but there's always going to be something to take when we come into the classroom. So if you have not already, please grab a packet for today's work, unless you are working on a laptop.
Listen, I gotta give me them. I've been looking for them.
Looking for what?
The Nike, whatever you got on. Yeah.
That's too tough. Please grab a packet.
Already wrote her.
No, you didn't. Loyal, I'm not doing this with you.
Can somebody grab me a packet? Please. Please. I will give y'all some sauce.
Loyal, every single day after third period, when we all go home to your lovely homes, get to my little Prius. You know?
I ain't even
get to
be
my little
here for
car.
it. Thank you so much.
I get to my little car and I'm just like, bang my head against the wheel. I'm like, God, Loyal, what is up with that one? She gives me highs. She distracts me. Why is she like this?
It's the last.
Del, thank you for grabbing the packet for Loyal. All right, temperature check. You know how I feel about Loyal. How do you feel about meeting new people? Please put up the number of fingers that corresponds to your answer. Remember, easy participation. 3, okay, you don't care about new people. Why is that not a surprise? I'm just kidding. 2, maybe just 1. It's like if I'm gonna be friends with someone, I'm gonna be loyal, gonna be close. Kai does not care. Okay, we have an apathetic classroom. Del and Asia, what are we feeling? How do we feel about new friends? 1 for you don't like new friends, no new friends. 2, maybe just 1. 3, don't care. 4, you like new people. And 5, you love meeting new people. 3, okay, you don't care. No one cares about friends here. What do you, Del? 2, maybe just 1. Okay.
Hold on, wait, no. When I say I don't care, I mean like I don't care about meeting the people, not like I don't care about them.
Okay, anyway, so Loyal hates all of you.
Okay.
If anyone cares to know, mine is 5. I do love meeting new people. The reason is I love when I can have a bunch of people around the world where I can travel to. I have friends in Tokyo, Singapore, Turkey, New York City, California. Anytime I go to those places, I don't have to pay for a hotel or Airbnb because I just couch surf. It's nice.
Wait, where are you from?
Boston. But I haven't lived in Boston for 8 years. So.
Damn, you don't miss it?
I miss it. I just left for college and I moved to Providence for college and then I moved here and I've been here for like a year now. So. Alright, so we're just gonna dive into our agenda. We just did some SEL. The agenda is now. We are gonna go over our do now, and then we have a sentence writing activity to help us get acquainted with writing longer. We're going to finish off the text-dependent questions from the Prince's monologue from yesterday, and then we have our first break of the day. Afterwards, we have a video that talks about what tragedy is and what a tragic hero is. You're going to fill in some definitions for that. And then we are going to read more Romeo and Juliet and characterize them. And then we will end with a break. As usual, during this break, it's good to see y'all. Please grab a packet on the way in. Thank you, Malik. Thank you, Anasia. Once we get to the end, we'll have a break. This would be time to do any makeup work. Check up with me to figure out what makeup work you need to do, and check up on your grades with Ms. Annette if you have not already. Alright, so quick announcements. Just a reminder, your syllabi were due last week. I'm extending the deadline to Thursday.
I ain't never get one.
Please get them in so that you can get a free test grade. Thank you. Malik, please put the phone away. Loyal, I will get you a fresh syllabus.
What's the name?
It's 12. this Thursday to turn in anything you missed from this week, from last week, sorry. Other important announcements. Alright, so I have been told to explicitly tell you, retrieve your laptops from your home school if you have not already done so. The district is mandating that students use their school-issued laptops for summer school. I'm supposed to take the names of folks who are already using laptops from their schools. If your school is a homeschool that never gave you laptops, does not have a laptop policy, let me know what school that is, because I am supposed to email them and tell them to do their jobs.
I have a laptop, but the connection is ass. That's why I use my phone.
Okay. Hey, y'all, is it okay? It's in the back binder.
Leave it.
Right back in.
I know.
All right. So the second announcement, very important for this class in particular. One out at a time for the bathroom, not just first or last. And you can't take a pass for first or last 30 minutes of class. There you go. We've also been asked to start emailing the office for students who do not return from breaks. So that is my warning to y'all. You know who you are. You know who you are. If we email the office, your parents are going to get not one but 2 phone calls. So they're going to be pissed off that they get reminded twice.
Who made that up?
Huh?
Who made calls in the office?
Hey, it was a new rule I got from yesterday, so you've been warned. Next thing, if you complete your assignment on Google Classroom, please make sure you hit turn in so I can see it. Lastly, if there is time at the end of class, that is time for makeup work as well as checking in on your grades if you haven't already checked in with Miss Winnett.
Miss Lynette, what's my grade?
I'll tell you at the end of class.
That's scared me. Is it bad?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Anyway, no, I'm kidding. All right, so our objective for today, which I don't have on the slide, but I do have here, students will be able to determine the key factors of tragedy and the tragic hero by characterizing Romeo and Juliet. A lot of definitions today, a lot of understanding how tragedy applies to our play. But before we get into that, we are going to do our do now. So in the packet that you picked up for today, page 1, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this quick write. Write if you agree or disagree with the following quote and explain your reason why. Where there is love, there is life, by Mahatma Gandhi, who is a political and spiritual leader, but he was also not a good person in a lot of ways, so.
I wonder who he get that Mahatma.
Huh?
Mahatma.
Yes.
You need to skip it one more time.
Sing it.
Oh, I heard
This
it.
one is missing for 3 days. Oh.
That's okay. Yes. I'll put it over there. Yes. Please return these pencils at the end of class so I don't keep buying them.
Start a GoFundMe for pencils.
Yeah, I don't have that one. When you come in the packet, the work is always going to be here.
broke up and be
Fucking
like,
camera right
oh, the love fairy tale stuff, and be like, oh my god, I have no idea.
This one?
I'm doing that for the students that are in here, so they have an opportunity to see the teaching.
That's too much.
If they need to make up the work, they have an opportunity to get the lecture
I can't
too.
even do that. Can't think. My brain is fried. Other than that, it's
I know, you guys. Part of being a member of Baltimore City Public School community is that we opt in for recording and photographs and all that good stuff, so.
What, bro? It's 35 cents.
how am I getting credit for that?
You getting credit?
That shit get annoying.
So long as you give me an agree and disagree, and then you told me why. I'm still like with you. Okay. So like,
I'm fine now.
how do you think that? So 5 seconds left.
Value credit.
What was that?
Value credit.
Everyone who completed both parts, if you wrote why you agreed or disagreed, you got credit. All right, so I would love to hear folks share out. Thank you. Can I have at least 2 volunteers to share out their do now, please? I liked what I saw, Del.
I say I agree with the quote when that is love, that is like because love gives you a reason to live.
Okay, love gives you a reason to live. I love that. People sing about it all the time, talk about it all the time, write about it all the time, teach about it all the time. When there is love, there is life. Our entire lives are just revolved around love, I guess. Can I have another response, please?
No.
All right, well, that's too bad, Kai, because now that you spoke up, I would love to hear your response.
No.
No, you don't agree?
No.
Why not?
Does. No.
Because why? Give me a
I don't know.
reason.
Just no.
You don't think when there's love, there's life.
No.
Can you give me an example or a reason why that is? You think that people can just live their life loveless?
Yeah.
Okay, say more.
You don't need to be loved. I mean, you need to be loved. Some people need to be loved. Not all people need to be loved.
So if you grow up without love,
No,
what
you
do
don't
have?
need to be loved as long as you love yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's still love.
Huh? But
That's still love.
that's still love, right? Self-love is still love. I also love what just happened there, a collaborative answer. It took a bit, but you're right? Maybe some people feel like you don't need any external love, all you need is self-love. But I agree with Del, I do think self-love is a form of love. Awesome, okay, so let's move on from this. We have a sentence writing activity. So like I mentioned, we have an assessment starting on Thursday. So we are going to practice writing longer, more descriptive writing. You take a look on page 1 of your packet from today. Hold up, this is the wrong packet, my bad. If you take a look at your packet from today, you should see all of these notes here. So we can make our sentences, hey Dion, please grab my packet and hand it to you. We can make our sentences more exciting by extending them and adding in related ideas. So, for example, because shows the reason behind something, but shows difference or change, and so shows how one thing causes another thing. This might be review to y'all, but it would be really helpful for you to start implementing them into your own sentences. So the example I have for you is I went to the beach. That's not that interesting, right? It just ends there. I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about the beach. Doesn't really help me. If you add because, I went to the beach because it was the first sunny day in weeks, that gives me a little bit more details about what is going on. Likewise, I went to the beach, but I forgot to bring my towel. Gives me a little bit more of an idea of you. Maybe you're a forgetful person. I went to the beach, so I didn't complete any of the chores I needed to. Again, tells me a little bit more about you, tells me that maybe you are not super responsible, like me. All right, so your task. You have 4 questions on your sheet. The first one is, Spider-Man saved me. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna fill in that sentence with whatever you would like. Spider-Man saved me because, give me a reason. Likewise, for number 2 and 3, you're gonna complete those sentence frames. And for number 4, you're gonna circle one of the conjunctions, because, but, or so, and complete that sentence frame as well. Does anybody have any questions about what we are doing?
So, I got a question.
Yeah, what's up, Dion?
So, what up? What up? Anything?
I'm gonna start people off. Dion, I'll be back
Hold
here to
up.
answer your question.
I forgot what the question was about. Alright, what we got read about what Spider-Man did again? Like how he saved us,
You
but
can
like...
write anything you would like, so long as it makes sense after you say Spider-Man saved me because. You're just
So-
extending the sentence,
So
making
it gotta
it
be about Spider-Man?
Yes. So we're working on using conjunctions. The activity is using conjunctions to expand your sentence. The original sentence was I went to the beach, right? Or Spider-Man saved me. That's a basic sentence. It's a simple
I'm gonna give
sentence.
y'all 4 minutes
Now
to do
we
this,
want to
and
make a
then
more
we will go over
complex
it.
or compound sentence by using the word because. It makes your writing more interesting and it adds more detail to your writing. So Spider-Man saved me because, finish that sentence.
She over there going to sleep.
She's writing. You see her little pencil? Well, look,
Now
it
she's
just
not
moved.
right. Now she's not right.
It just, pencil moved. Focus on your own. Focus on your own. When you're
Alright,
done with yours,
Spider-Man
you can help
saved
someone
me
else.
because... I can say, because I watched the movie.
Spider-Man saved me because you watched his movies? Okay. He's like, that's my fan. I gotta save him.
You come here. We're gonna work on this.
Montague is the name of the family, right? That's Romeo's family.
Oh yeah, Pat.
Simpson wanted to fight the
We're just gonna work on this after.
the whole family.
I don't even know about Romeo. I don't.
Well, you don't have to know very much to make it up. Why did Samson want to fight the whole family of Montagues? Or Samson wanted to fight the
What?
the
You know,
wife
it
of
is what?
Montague's
What happened?
What happened?
Thursday?
That's God.
Think about it. So Montague is a person from the family, like, what's your last name?
Right.
So if you had, like, your whole family, you're called the Waters. Right? So anyone in your family is part of the Waters. So the Montagues is the whole family of Montagues. Samson wanted to fight the whole family of Montagues. So, what happened? Okay. That completes the sentence.
I ain't gonna lie, and listen, that was some great shit too.
You guys stay focused. Are you done? Did you get it all done? Oh, you got it done. He's done.
How you done? Damn, I ain't even.
He done?
He's done.
That's my partner.
Well, get busy, because he's done.
That's my partner.
This is something we do. We're gonna work on this later. It's from what we did yesterday. So you just take what you should have in class. left number one. I mean, it's kind of sad, but I don't really.
Yo, what's
But what? So when we do that, going to die, but? Oh, you want me to? Yep. Correct. No. Want that card? Thank you. Yeah, I'm not gonna stop you from volunteering.
No, that's not me.
Oh, and to feel like, yes.
I'm saying nobody wanna die.
All right, let's go over what we came up with. So number one, Spider-Man saved me. Spider-Man saved me because, Del?
I jumped off the building.
Because I jumped off a building. A little bleak there. But a lot of answers were about buildings today. You did not get this for some reason, you may use this as your example. Number two, I got what I wanted for my birthday, but Kiva? But it was raining. It sucks. You got what you want.
Mr. Tyrone, could you please come to the front office? Mr. Tyrone, please come to the front office.
Great, so it was raining. Samson wanted to fight the Montagues, so Kiva? So he fought them. Okay, that is a little bit redundant there. Do we have another one?
I don't know what that means.
So this is kind of just repeating what you had just said here. So I do want to hear another response. I like that. Samson wanted to fight the Montagues, so the Montagues fought back. The Montagues fought back. Love that. All right, we have one more. Make sure none of y'all are copying any of these down. Great. Okay. So Romeo and Juliet are going to die. When I turn around, I would love to see some hands, and I would love for someone to give me their conjunction and the rest of their sentence. Yes, Del.
But at least it's not a word.
Romeo and Juliet are going to die, but at least they die together. Yeah, it is harsh, but I also do think a lot of people are like, oh, that's kind of romantic, which I disagree with, but I don't know. Some people really think it's the ultimate act of love.
I mean, if they were like 90 and they died together,
Yeah,
it'd be sweet.
right, but they're like 13 and 17 dying for each other.
13 and 17.
Yeah, I'm also not a huge fan of the age difference, but
Me either.
that was very normal, I think, during Shakespearean times. All right, I'm gonna erase this. It does not look like anyone needs to copy it down. All right, so I know this might have been a review for y'all. Y'all did a great job. So remember, when we are writing our paragraphs, to extend your answers with conjunctions like because, but, or so. Okay, cool. So, we went over fate and foreshadowing yesterday. Just as a quick review for folks who were not here. So folks who are not here, please bring your heads up. Foreshadowing is a literary device that writers use to hint to the reader that something will happen later on in the text. So in the prologue, we already got told that Romeo and Juliet are going to die. As we continue to read Romeo and Juliet today, be on the lookout for clues about what is fated to happen to our characters. So we read the Prince's monologue yesterday. I will reread this again because we did already read it yesterday. And we also answered question number 1. This time period is going to be for y'all to answer questions 2 through 5. So as I am reading, Please pay attention to number 2. How many times have the two households fought each other? Number 3. What must the citizens of Verona have to do when the Montagues and Capulets fight? Number 4. What does the prince want the two households to do? And number 5. Based on our understanding of foreshadowing, what is the prince saying will happen the next time there is a fight? So I'm going to read this again, and then I will give y'all time to independently answer questions 2 through 5, and I will catch up anyone who was not here yesterday. All right, so you can follow along on yesterday's packet on page 6. You rebels, enemies of the peace, men who turn their weapons against their own neighbors. They won't listen to me? You there, you men, you beasts, who satisfy your anger with fountains of each other's blood. I'll have you tortured if you don't put down your sword and listen to your angry prince. 3 times now, riots have broken out in this city, all because of a casual word from you, old Capulet and Montague. 3 times the peace has been disturbed in our streets, and Verona's old citizens have had to take off their dress clothes and pick up their rusty spears to part you. If you ever cause a disturbance on our streets again, you'll pay for it with your lives. Everyone else, go away for now. You, Capulet, come with me. Montague, this afternoon, come to Old Freetown, the court where I deliver judgments, and I'll tell you what else I want from you. As for the rest of you, I'll say this once more, go away or be put to death. All right, so we had answered the first question yesterday. For those of you who weren't here, I'll be around to help you with that first question. But for right now, I'm going to give you some time to independently or with a partner answer questions 2 through 5. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. If we finish early, we'll go over it early, and then we'll move on to our break.
All of them.
Yeah, you only did one, so now you need to work together, and he's number 2. So how many times have two households fought each other?
All the time.
Look in the paragraphs.
All the time. I know what
Right.
I guess feedback, right? It thinks they're
Got the book in
bad
the
people,
house.
we just think
Look in the second
So our
paragraph.
answer here
Tell me, how many times have they fought each other? Okay, that was good, quick, that was quick.
that they are.
Alright, you got it?
You got the, okay. I'm gonna answer questions.
And then, oh, I know, we didn't answer this one, so. With your question, answer this. Alright.
And things that they are enemies of peace.
Okay, so.
Or that they are disturbing peace or whatever. So now that you have answer number 1, the rest of the answers can be found in this passage as well. And the second answer did you know yesterday?
It's over here.
Yeah, all of that.
There you go.
All of them?
Yes.
Did you guys get the second one? Okay, so what does the prince already do about the 2 households? It's in the first paragraph. It's in the first line of the first paragraph. Here, we're on this one. Alright, so in the first paragraph, in the first line, what does he do? What does he call them? What kind of people does he think they are?
What did they do? So did it destroy?
Well.
You went there. You visited.
You playing book? This book?
Can I buzz on?
What's the song?
Let me.
Okay, so you got that.
I need
Okay.
to,
And then
add more songs to the playlist.
You add some good
How many
songs.
times
Alright,
is
so
the
give me
house
some
been fought?
recommendations.
Alright, so in
Put
this
it on the
paragraph,
front,
what
put it on the front of your
what's
worksheet
the
every week. I go through them.
Play big dirty.
Oh,
I do wanna listen to them first.
well, this thing in the parentheses
Yeah,
is.
I have to vet the song, I have to vet the
So
song.
that is just
Alright.
what.
Well, let's go on today.
I will listen to it eventually when I have time.
Oh,
Which
let's
is
go
on
to shade over.
Oh, this is,
Yes.
so I know. I'm gonna come back around to give y'all more credit. Relax, chill.
Oh, the second paragraph.
I don't know about that.
Yes.
She been going to class?
It's okay.
Yeah, she is. It's Friday when this is out.
You're not wrong. It's just this is
Beyond,
more accurate
beyond.
because it had to come
Stay here,
through.
come on. You don't want to say hi to
Hey,
the
what's-
and try and
Yeah, real
no,
quick.
here you go.
Yeah.
Instead, how you
Email
email your
it,
question.
I want you to make sure you write the consent.
I gotta do it because I'm under the wrong cat. I'm chicken crushed.
Yes. Well, it's kind of. He thinks
Mad.
that they are.
See that
Oh, like that.
when 3 minutes have passed and the work has been
And then
done.
paragraph 2, you're gonna write one thing.
I can see that. I also get it. Come on,
Three times?
You got it.
sorry,
You gotta
baby, I'm
hold on.
off in your feelings. You're actually doing your work.
Remember, whose family are the Montagues?
The answer number 3. Alright, what do you think? So they're asking what do the citizens of Rome do?
So Romeo, Montague, Juliet, Capulet. Right? So that's their family names. So what must the citizens of Verona, right? If we were the citizens, who's citizens of Baltimore, if we were seeing two families fight, what's he telling us to do? So it's also in paragraph 2. So read that again and pick out what the prince is telling the citizens
They're
to
gonna
do.
take out their dress clothes and then do what?
You guys getting it?
Yes, I can.
Little
Up there.
Oh, yeah, you're on that page. Wait, are you on the right one? Oh.
So they're asking the people, so there's a rock and this one's rock, so like we have to fight with.
You like to show people.
You guys get all the questions?
Alright, how are we doing with these questions? Do we need another minute or can we move on?
We need another minute.
Number 4?
Another minute? I'll add 1 more minute to the clock.
Read this paragraph again. Well, you got it on
3
one.
minutes and 25 seconds.
I'm gonna give y'all a minute and 30 more seconds to answer the question.
Oh, no. What does the prince of... Okay, oh. So keep reading, okay? Keep reading in this paragraph. And what does he tell them to do? Finally, what does he tell them to do?
So easy. This is my goodness.
Just the answer right here, put number 3.
Yes, exactly. What are the citizens forced to do because of the fighting?
They want them to get naked, huh?
Well, they're like, you know, they gotta take off their nice clothes.
Yeah, their dress clothes or their nice clothes.
They gotta take off their dress clothes, their nice clothes, and put on their, you know, whatever, you know, their work clothes or their cleaning clothes. I don't know if you guys wear clothes when you clean the house.
I wear clothes everywhere.
I mean, we all wear clothes when we clean the house. However, what kind of clothes do you wear? Like,
you have clean clothes.
whatever you're wearing. Sometimes I'll put on like old sweats and a t-shirt or whatever to clean the house.
It depends, like, you just get out of the shower or something, and you know.
Right.
Cleaning them
Good
bad.
job. So, number
And the
5.
latest Jordan.
To clean your house.
Yeah.
You're like one of those 50s housewives that like wore pearls and like, you know, high heels. I mean, in a man version, in like a man version, your Jordans and your like gold chains to like around the house.
No.
Alright, let's go over these answers together and then you'll have our first break. for our break.
Rip.
Number 2, how many times have the two households fought each other? Loyal? 3, thank you. They fought 3 times. So if you do not get that, go ahead and copy this down. Number 3, what must the citizens of Verona have to do when the Montagues and Capulets fight? What are they doing? Kiva?
They had to take off. They had to take off. They,
Take off.
alright, let me start over. Y'all don't think I'm dumb.
What the fuck?
They had to take off their dress clothes and put their rest clothes on.
They have to take off their dress clothes, okay, they put on like clothes that they can use to do something. To part them. What else do they pick up to part them? And pick up their spears to part them. Perfect. So, the Montagues and Capulets get into fights all the time. The citizens have to break them up all the time. The prince is sick of it. So, what does the prince want the two households to do?
Go away.
Loyal?
I have a question. Does when they say take off their clothes, you know how the pirates be when they be having like the white little suits under their clothes? That's what they had under there.
I have no clue.
White sheets.
But I'm
Yeah,
sure
white.
there was some type of undergarment that was there. Do you have the answer to number 4?
Oh, I didn't even do number 4.
Okay, so does anybody have the answer to number 4? What does the prince want the two households to do?
Oh, stop fighting?
Del?
Go away.
Yeah, he wants them to all go away, and then Loyal, I heard stop fighting. There's also another potential answer.
Have peace.
Part ways and stop fighting. What does he ask them to do? He asked the Montagues and Capulets to do something at the very end of the paragraph.
To come with them?
Yes. He asks them to meet with him, right? So he wants to talk with them separately about their fighting. So either of these answers will work. It looks like folks are getting that one down, so I'm going to give you all a couple of seconds to do that before we answer the last one. And
Yeah,
it's
well,
on-
I gotta get that down. Hold up. Oh. Got a lot of time to shit on that. Really? Fuck, I need to write. No. I hate reading.
All right, let's take a look at number 5. Based on our understanding of foreshadowing, what is the prince saying will happen the next time there is a fight? What are those consequences, Kiva? Can anybody help out?
They're gonna get the electric chair.
Maybe not the electric chair, but they certainly will pay with their lives.
Yeah, don't they put their neck
They will
in
die.
there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they will pay with their lives or die. So this is your answer number 5.
I'm gonna go watch a movie.
You could watch it tonight.
No,
At
I'm
home.
trying to watch it.
So already from the prologue and from the beginning of the play, Act 1, Scene 1, we keep seeing this repetition of how our lovers will die, and then we hear our prince say, y'all are gonna be fighting, you will die. So we know that as we keep reading Romeo and Juliet, there's gonna be a lot of violence, death, and bloodshed. Super great, super fun. Make sure you have these answers. I am gonna put the timer on for 5 minutes, and we're gonna take a quick break. And then after that, we're gonna dive into the next part of Romeo and Juliet.
Maybe you would read the book.
We're gonna start reading it. This is part of it, but we're gonna start reading more of it today.
Oh, I thought y'all already read it?
No.
So this is the prologue and the prince's monologue so far.
This is the beginning of the play.
16.
what were the songs you wanted me to put on the playlist?
For me,
And
he said Big 30.
No, keep this song going.
No, I didn't get lost. That shit funny.
I have a running list. If I have time, I will add these songs to the list.
You're not in office, none of that. We're in school.
What was it?
iPad.
I will take a look tonight and find a clean version.
You could just tell it. You could just tell it's clean because it say iPad.
You just tell it to put the clovers on the computer.
I want to listen to it first. Tomorrow.
It ain't gonna take long to listen.
This music ain't turning me up enough, man. It ain't making me want my hands to move, man. I
Well,
need 30.
good thing that it's class. We don't need to turn up the class. Save that for your parties.
I need 30, bro.
They watch on hip hop song.
My hands move.
A lot,
So I get it.
a lot of girls make these songs.
Y'all got no water fountain.
We do have water fountains.
No, but the other one.
The real ones.
Nah, we don't have that.
Got them
As
fake.
far as I know.
Maybe I need my own. That's why
Yeah.
this school's broke as shit.
I thought they don't got cut. They got help.
God damn it. Phil, who go to this school? Who goes to this school?
This your school?
Yeah.
So,
How many field trips y'all go on like
We don't have none of them. None of them.
that? Y'all broke as fuck.
No, it wasn't. It was like they gave the upperclassmen field trips, but it was like 2. They went to New York. And then they went to
that's a pretty good
But they went to New York pushing like past the graduation and shit, and they gave them prom and balls. While us,
You guys didn't get any dances? No junior.
we only thing we had was a general OCC ball, and that was alright. But we didn't have no trips. They gave all the upperclassmen all the trips.
I put a drum on that bitch, like,
So y'all had 6 Flags and dance and ball. Hell no, I ain't going there. Damn.
I'm ready for a jumbo.
Number one. Y'all got no shit?
hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, school. Then y'all just got y'all have blue?
Actually,
Girl, what you talking
School, like, is it a blue here?
Girl, what?
Is it a blue here, like blue school?
Blue?
Yeah, a blue. Like how it's Mervo, like, do they got like blue?
Oh, you jumbo with a uniform? That's it, yeah.
No. Is it a school called Blue here?
No, what? Maybe they have.
Oh, you asking? Cause I'm like, DC.
oh, that's why you be like that.
Be like what?
Saying what you be talking about.
No.
Say it again.
Blue?
No.
Wait, say what?
How you be talking?
Oh, wait. What? I was gonna say, shit.
How you be How you be doing it?
We just talk.
How you be talking all crazy? Like, no, why you be in here?
I be chilling in here. I don't talk. I be happy.
Yeah, like that. That's how you be talking to NBC?
No, that was
Well,
just
that's
a joke
okay.
from the board.
That's only how you do. That's only how you talk.
Yeah.
I thought that was DC.
So
No. Skip, you skip it.
I'm so confused.
DC?
Yeah.
So DC, do you talk like that?
Yeah. But they talk a little harder than me. Some of
So
the
they be saying how
The
you be saying?
females.
No. Talk about how you was just talking. How you
yeah,
talking.
but sometimes they get a little. Mine, I got a
So
hard
they raise
accent.
their voice and be like that, like happy, like how you be saying. They be
Yeah, but
like
some
that.
people are a little aggressive with it. They some.
Wow,
They
well,
be-
man, I'm gonna be having a ball hiding this like next time.
You should come. It's hella crackheads. It's the crackheads. Crackheads
We
like
got a lot
the
here.
This part too.
No, I didn't hear.
All right. Do y'all need a quick pick me up before we get started again? If
No,
so,
you
I'm
know.
coming around with candy.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
want some, you can get some. If not,
I want people.
If not, give it to me and just say yes.
Where the hot Cheetos and her tacos?
No.
so I can give it to guys. So just pick it. You know, I get uncheated.
Y'all don't want to get some device thing and make it like I was doing coke.
Not that.
Thank you for bringing these in again also.
This is the best one.
I know it is. Look at
This is
it.
the best.
Yeah.
Alright.
It'll keep up.
Yeah, you just got to go know. Alright, but it's all so hard.
So I'm gonna eat everything. I'm gonna start to drink. I'm not drinking the water thing.
Who you telling?
Alright, so let's get back from our break. At this point, we're just going to be working with the packets that you got today. So y'all can put yesterday's packet to the side. Everyone should turn to page 2 of today's packet. It should look like this. It's a bunch of lines with blanks there. I will go over what to fill and those blanks in just a moment. But before we do that, I just want to get a basic understanding of what y'all know about tragedy. So when you hear the word tragedy, what do you think of? It doesn't just have
Something
to
bad.
I don't got that page.
We don't have, there's not a page for that.
No happy ending.
No happy ending, something bad. Do we have any examples of tragedies we think of?
Yeah.
Romeo
But
and
it's sad.
Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. What else? Let's also start raising our hands because there are a lot of voices.
Can we not raise our hands? Please.
We're talking over each other a lot, so
We're
I
not.
would love
I was ready to say something. She said something, so I stopped.
Del.
Macbeth.
Macbeth, also another tragedy. Excellent.
We said,
Macbeth. It's another Shakespearean tragedy.
Y'all in this Shakespeare.
All right, so those are all examples of tragedy, and also the idea that something bad happens and no happy ending. That is also a common understanding of tragedy. In English class, we are talking about theatrics. So in theater, tragedy is a specific type of play with a set structure. So all your answers are pretty correct. We're just going to look at a more specific pattern that tragedies follow today.
Yep.
So, to do that, Loyal and
Yes, I
Kiva.
Man.
Loyal, Kiva.
Facts.
Tell me.
Loyal.
How much
Kiva.
grams? How much grams?
It's their time, please.
How much grams is in there?
Are going to watch an introductory
No,
video.
I'm not saying nothing.
Tell me no. Oh my bad.
Thank you. We're going to watch an introductory video on different patterns and different vocabulary words related to tragedy. So the next 4 minutes, pay attention to this video. If you need to keep your head down, that's fine. Just make sure your eyes are looking towards the video, and then we will fill in. Yes, and then we will fill in the vocab together. I get it. It's been a long day.
Burn.
The story goes something like this. A royal, rich, or righteous individual, who otherwise happens to be a lot like us, makes a mistake that sends his life and the lives of those around him spiraling into ruin. Sound familiar? This is the classic story pattern for Greek tragedy. For thousands of years, we've spun spellbinding tales that fit this pattern, and modern storytellers around the world continue to do so. 3 critical story components, influenced by Aristotle's Poetics, help us understand the allure. First, the tragic hero should be elevated in rank and ability, but also relatable. Perhaps he is a king, or extraordinary in some other way. But because you and I are neither unusually good nor unusually bad, neither is the hero. And he has one particular tragic flaw, or hamartia, something like ambition, tyranny, stubbornness, or excess pride, that causes him to make a critical mistake. And from that mistake comes disaster and downfall. As an example of these elements in action, let's look to Sophocles' Oedipus Rex, about a man who doesn't know he was adopted and is warned by an oracle that he's destined to murder his father and marry his mother. In trying to escape this fate, he kills a man who won't get out of his way at a crossroad. He then cleverly answers the riddle of the monstrous Sphinx, freeing the kingdom of Thebes from a plague. He marries the widowed queen and becomes king. But after he finds out that the murdered man was his father, and the queen he married is his mother, Oedipus gouges out his eyes and retreats into the wilderness. At the beginning of his story, Oedipus is elevated in ability, and he's elevated in rank. He's neither unusually evil nor saintly. He's relatable. Notice the height of the fall. Once a king, but now homeless and blind. It's more tragic, after all, if a king falls from a tall throne than if a jester falls off his step stool. Oedipus's tragic flaw is hubris, or excessive pride, and it causes him to attempt to avoid the fate prophesied for him, which is exactly what makes it happen. He's a particularly unlucky soul, because his mistake of killing his father and marrying his mother is done in complete ignorance. Of course, these narrative principles transcend classic Greek tragedy. In Shakespeare's canon, we see Hamlet's indecisiveness lead to a series of bad decisions, or perhaps non-decisions, that culminate in the death of almost every character in the play. And Macbeth's ambition catapults him to the top before sending him careening to his grave. Even modern pop culture staples like Game of Thrones and The Dark Knight resonate with the tropes Aristotle identified over 2,000 years ago. So what's the point of all of this suffering? According to Aristotle, and many scholars since, a good tragedy can evoke fear and pity in the audience. Fear of falling victim to the same or similar catastrophe, and pity for the height of the hero's downfall. Ideally, after watching these tragic events unfold, we experience catharsis, a feeling of relief and emotional purification. Not everyone agrees why this happens. It may be that empathizing with the hero allows us to experience and release strong emotions that we keep bottled up. Or maybe it just lets us forget about our own problems for a little while. But regardless of how you feel when you watch Poor Oedipus, never has there been a more salient reminder that no matter how bad things get, at least you didn't kill your father and marry your mother.
Awesome. So we're going to move on to filling out these definitions on your sheet. I'm going to turn the lights on. Time to wake up. I love you, friends. No, because I want to keep people awake. If we finish early, I'll keep the lights on.
I need like
for the rest of
5.
y'all's heads.
This isn't a side business selling bus passes.
I need like 5.
What
So,
is Asia
let me
doing
check
with a
into the
million
office
bus
on that
passes?
one. Let me check in, okay? Because you're
Gotta
supposed to
come
be
like
able to
3
get,
buses home.
you're supposed to be able to get as many transfers as you need with this one pass.
Oh no, once you give it to the bus driver, they rip it.
Yeah.
You don't get it back.
You don't
Okay,
get
so
it
let me
back.
check it, let me just
Just
check
rode the
it.
bus this morning.
No, I feel you, I am believing you, I just wanna make sure that I'm doing the right thing.
I'm going back up high.
Yeah. Or you can buy them off Asia, who has like a whole stack of them for some reason.
Because she saves it, she's got a side business, okay.
All
I'm
right.
gonna give you 2 and then I'll come back and see, and let me come back on that, okay? Let me just give you this and then I'll come back.
All right. So let's turn our attention back to the board. Thank you, Ms. Winnet, for passing these out. On page 2 of your packet, you should have blank spaces where these words belong. So go ahead and copy down the highlighted words in the blank spaces on page 2 of your packet. As you are copying down these definitions, I will be explaining more deeply what these mean. So, a tragedy is a play about a great individual with a tragic flaw or hamartia that leads to their downfall. For reference, you don't need to memorize hamartia, you just need to know they have a tragic flaw. The great individual part is important. These people always start at the top and end up way at the bottom. The tragic flaw. The best way I can explain this is think about your worst quality ever. Think about the thing that you are really bad at, your worst personality trait, multiply that by 100. That would be your tragic flaw. So examples could be jealousy, pride, greed, anger. If those are traits that are negative, a tragic.
Hold up, guys, let's focus.
A tragedy will have someone who has that, but times 100. Tragedies also contain pathos, so that viewers and readers can feel catharsis when the play is over. Pathos is the feeling of great sadness, and catharsis means purging. It's the positive feeling of release. It's the positive feeling of release when you let go of all the pathos you have been feeling. Release.
You guys, make sure you're paying attention.
Thank you. So, yesterday we were talking about how y'all like to listen to music when you're sad. It makes you feel better. That is an example of catharsis. We listen to sad music when we're sad. It helps us process. It helps us feel better. That is catharsis. Alright, this is the next slide with the definitions that you will need. Tragic hero. So again, copy down the highlighted words on the second half of your definition sheet.
I want to read it.
You can move up or you can go up and take a picture. Alright, so a tragic hero. If any of y'all have taken English 2 or know the story of Oedipus Rex, I'm going to use that to explain what a tragic hero is. So the tragic hero is the protagonist or main character of the tragedy.
Can I pay you for some more of the M&M's?
That's all I got. They went fast.
I got $5 for the whole box, but $10.
If I had a box, I would give them, I'd sell them, but I don't.
I can bring peanut M&Ms in next week. I don't have time to go to the grocery store. Let me get through this, please.
It's only up the street.
No, for real.
I literally don't have time to do anything. Alright, so the tragic hero often goes through a series of events. First, the hero experiences peripeteia, or a change in fortune. So in the story of Oedipus Rex, he was this random man. He answered the riddle correctly, and then the person who he answered the riddle for made him a king of a city. That is his change in fortune. He went from being regular to being a king. Then there is the climax, which is the high point of action. So Oedipus became the king of this city. All of a sudden, the city gets super sick. Everyone in that city starts dying. He's like, why is everyone dying? A blind prophet comes to this man and says, everyone's dying because you brought a curse into this town, because you accidentally killed your father and married your mother without knowing. That is the climax. It's the highest point of the action. When we are surprised by what happens, we are shocked by what happens. It's the most exciting part of the play.
I'm ready to get a whole thing of peanut M&M's go to school and that was
I'm glad that you're going to do that for yourself, Leah.
I'm gonna have a big family size when I come in tomorrow.
All right.
Eating them.
After the climax, the hero experiences anagnorisis, or the recognition of what has happened, gaining insight into their life. So Oedipus, this king, when he realized what he has done, he finally accepts that he brought a curse into this town, or the city, and he's horrified. Next part, despite the recognition, catastrophe or disaster occurs, which can include the hero's death. In this case, I don't think Oedipus dies, but he rips his eyeballs out of his head. He blinds himself because he is so horrified at what he has done, and his mother also takes her own life because she is horrified that she married her son without knowing.
How did you know?
So Oedipus was born when he was born, he was sent off to a different town without anyone knowing. And when he was traveling somewhere, he saw this random man. He thought the man was trying to rob him and killed him, not knowing that it was his father, who was the king of the city. Okay, finally, the resolution occurs when the other characters mourn the hero, but also appreciate the good that has come with their passing. So, eventually, Oedipus is a blind, homeless man who leaves the city. Everyone in the city stops getting sick because the curse is over. They're sad because he's a great king, but they're also happy because they're no longer infected by this curse. And that is the resolution.
Just given once upon a time.
Yeah, well, that was the entire plot of one of the great Greek tragedies. So, all right. So y'all now have the definition of that. As we talked about, Romeo and Juliet is also an example of a tragedy. So today we're going to read a little bit more about them.
Hey.
Yes.
That's some good stuff off the home.
All right.
That's my dog. Fuck you up.
So everyone should turn to page 3 of their packets. It should say Analyzing Romeo up top.
Hey.
3 of your packets. It should say Analyzing Romeo up top. It's a whole page of text.
I'm gonna give it to her because you tend
It
to
was
linger. You tend to linger, so let's.
Well, I came early.
All right. Malik's on page 3. I need everyone else to turn to page 3 of their packets from today. It says Scenes of Romeo and Juliet up top, followed by Analyzing Romeo. Amazing. Thank you. Keep up turning to that page. Okay, here we go.
Nothing else like Anna
Cool.
and Romeo.
As we're reading, you should pay attention to their characteristics and what their tragic flaw might be. Again, their tragic flaw is the
This is a nice piece.
biggest thing wrong with them. This is not going to be in your section, so I'm just going to go over this, give you the notes you need for it, and then we're going to move on. So for context, if you've never read Romeo and Juliet before, Romeo is heartbroken over his ex-girlfriend. Romeo's ex is Rosaline. So, can I have any volunteers read for, oh, actually, sorry, I totally forgot to explain this part. From here on out, as we are reading Romeo and Juliet, we're probably not going to use the books from back there because we don't have enough time to get through the whole thing. So I'm going to start printing out 2 columns. This left column is in Shakespearean English. It's in the Old English that he uses. The right column is in modern day English. It is meant to help you understand what is going on. When we are writing our essays, when we are answering our questions, cite evidence from the Shakespearean side. The other side is just meant for you to process what is actually going on. So I am going to, I'm going to have 2 people read from Benvolio and Romeo. We are going to talk about what they are saying, and then we're going to move on to the next slide where we're going to start taking more notes. Can I have 2 volunteers to volunteer for Benvolio and Romeo?
I don't read. I want to read English. No, I ain't shouting. I should only read English.
Well, that's his English.
Yeah.
No, it's
You're in
not.
luck.
No.
It's all English. Who's gonna be our Romeo? Romeo, Romeo, wherefore out thou? No, that's a lot.
All right, actually, Miss Vanette, will you read this for me? Since they actually don't have this exact copy up here, it might be farther away. So you can start reading from the next one. If you want to take Benvolio's role.
Sure. All right, I'm his best friend. It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours?
Not having that which having makes them short.
In love?
Out.
Of love?
Out of her favor, where I am in love.
Alas, that love, so gentle in his view, should be so tyrannous and rough in proud.
Thank God.
Alright, so really quick. The only thing I need to know from here is that Romeo, at the beginning of the play, he is heartbroken over Rosaline, his ex-girlfriend.
Awesome.
I know that because his friend is saying, are you in love? Dion.
Okay. So as we read the Shakespearean, you guys check in on the modern column so you can follow along. When we say out, of course it means out. When Benvolio says of love, he means out of love. So you can see the direct translation there. So make sure you guys are following along.
So the only thing to get from here is right now Romeo is super heartbroken, super sad because he is out of love with his ex-girlfriend, or rather his ex-girlfriend dumped him and he is still in love with her. This is where I want y'all to start copying down the notes that I put on the board.
Okay, so guys.
So everyone should see Analyzing Romeo, and they should see Romeo's Shakespearean column on the left here.
So this is modern, you can annotate wherever you want as long as you're
I mean, like,
making sure you're checking. Follow along, she'll,
Yes.
she'll walk
All
you
right.
through it.
Catch them by that stove.
Alright.
What we supposed to be writing?
I'll show you once I get a chance to actually show you and people are seated and I can give my instructions.
Yeah, got you. Roll them up. Hey.
Dion, you don't need that, we're not gonna need.
You can't have it.
If it turns into an airplane or a ball, no.
All right.
You guys, so make sure you're on the right column so you can take notes.
As I am reading, follow along on page 3 of your packet for Romeo.
Gang.
I'll start reading when the room is silent and everyone is paying attention. All right. This is Romeo. Alas, that love whose view is muffled still, should without eyes see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate, O anything of nothing first created? O heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep. That is not what it is. This love feel I that feel no love in this, dost thou not laugh? Alright, so a lot was just said there. I know it might not come super easily, which is why the translation is here to help you understand what's going on, but I will tell you what stood out to me. Something that we forget about a lot when we're analyzing text is the punctuation. In this section alone, I'm circling all the question marks and exclamation points that I see in this first stanza, so please do so on your sheets as well.
Yo. What is she doing?
So I'm in this first section here, I'm circling all of the exclamation points and the question marks that I see show up in this first stanza alone. Alright, so in this first stanza, I see 8 exclamation points / question marks.
You said 8.
Yeah, there are 8 of them.
Your limitations, this is to help you understand.
I don't see them.
The question marks at the end of each sentence, it's not over till it's over.
If you are on the Google Classroom, you would just make a note that there are 8 exclamation points and question marks. You don't actually have to highlight them.
That means you need to show your work.
Alright, so what this makes me think is if you're using a lot of exclamation points and question marks in any of your texts, in any of your speeches, you're probably really emotional. You're talking really fast, you're shouting, you're confused. So circling all these question marks and exclamation points, it makes me think that Romeo is very emotional right now. This is a side note that I'm going to make in the margins. So y'all go ahead and copy Romeo is very emotional in the margins, and I can tell that because of all the exclamation points in the margins of your sheet.
She gave me like 10 of them in the head.
Alright, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to copy that down, and then I have another note for Romeo.
Like the boo sauce. That shit is so nasty.
He's very what? Emotional. And I know that because he's shouting a lot and asking a lot of questions based on the exclamation
You want me to write that
points.
too?
No, I'm just explaining. Great. The other thing that I noticed, even if I don't completely understand, I definitely hear that sound though. Please put the phone away. Even if I don't understand entirely what is going on,
I'm circling all the punctuation marks.
yes, all of the one, yep. Even if I don't understand what is going on, when I read this, something that stood out to me was how many opposites he used. Brawling love and loving hate. So when you're brawling with someone, you're fighting with them, you hate them. It's brawling love, loving hate. Love and hate are oftentimes considered opposites. Anything of nothing. Heavy lightness. Serious vanity. Misshapen chaos. Well-seeming forms. So misshapen chaos, everything's a mess. Well-seeming forms, everything's together. Feather of lead. Feather is light. Lead is heavy. Bright smoke. Cold fire. Sick hell. There are a lot of opposites in this text. I'm just going to note that I saw some opposites. A lot of English teachers might feel like there's only one right way to analyze or understand a text. For me, I think there are multiple different interpretations. So when I see a bunch of opposites, and I know that Romeo is extremely heartbroken, I want to think about how heartbreak makes you feel all of these opposites, all of these contradicting emotions. So if I'm thinking of my last heartbreak, I think of how there were days when I was happy, I missed them, I forgave them, right? But there are also days where I was really pissed off. I was really mad that they didn't answer my text. I was really mad that I was broken up with, right?
It's the second week of school, so did you get your heart broken?
I have gotten my heart broken once in my life.
Wow.
I am usually the heartbreaker, okay? You can spread that rumor around school too, I don't mind that. You
Okay.
can spread that rumor around school. So, following heartbreak, right? What this makes me think about Romeo is that heartbreak is making him feel full of emotions. He's being torn by his heartbreak. He's being pulled in opposite directions because of his heartbreak. So my note for Romeo here, you're going to actually write this somewhere else and I'll show you after, so you can hold off on this. Romeo's heartbreak makes him feel torn. So, yes, you're going to write that on the very back here. Romeo's heartbreak makes him feel torn, right? He's pulled in opposite directions all the time.
Right this way.
I'm going to show you on page 6, on the very back of your packet, what you're going to do is you're going to put one of the quotes that stand out to you on the left column. Let me pull up the packet on here so you can see. All right. So the quote that I underlined, I need to erase that in a second, but a bunch of the quotes that I underlined were full of opposites. I'm going to go ahead and put any of those quotes onto here. Miss Woodette, do you mind erasing the board? Yeah. Except leave Romeo's heartbreak and feel torn and the other marks.
Yeah, the lines.
So I don't have to write the entire quote, just enough to get some of the opposites that I mentioned. The one that I like is feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick hell.
Hey, y'all saw a tiny bro.
When she figured out she was dead, I was at the toilet, don't you?
She won't get up this way. She like, I got shot in my neck 10 times.
Yeah, do it.
What up? So that's the same thing that's on that board right here.
Yeah, so you know how we just read all the opposites? I'm just pulling out this quote that Romeo said, and then I'm explaining how, what this quote tells me about him. So I said if he's listing a bunch of opposites, it probably means that his heartbreak makes him feel torn in a bunch of different directions. I'm going to add my interpretation on the right side. And where, you know, where she's pulling this from.
None of y'all can't do it. She can't do it either. Y'all wipe the phone.
You understand where she's pulling this line from, huh?
Yeah.
So go ahead, you guys want to get this down. This is her example. You're going to have to do it on your own in a minute.
What? How?
You
Yeah,
have
in a minute, not right away.
And then what?
But we wanna make sure you get this model down, so that when it's your turn to do it on your own, you know what to do.
If we get through this, then there will be a break, but the classes have not been going through this so far. So
I think he brought me for Aaron.
Alright, make sure y'all get this
Oh
down.
no.
Make sure y'all get this down on page 6.
Yeah,
You guys, if you're done and you have time to check, make sure you're keeping your voices down so you're not distracting other students that might need to focus.
This class. You trying to turn the air on so we can be quiet?
put on like big 30.
I ain't like put the air on, I'm be quiet.
Big 30.
I thought you couldn't.
I couldn't, I was told I could turn it off, and I was wondering if I could turn it back on again. Doesn't look
No, it feels good.
okay.
It's just.
No, turn it on.
No. Don't turn it
I don't
on.
think I can turn it on right now, but we'll see tomorrow.
So
We
once
call
you
no
get
Anthony.
then you need to
No
get the
Anthony.
interpretation, right? What does it mean? What does it reveal about?
You know all these good last week.
Oh, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does the quote mean? What does it show you about Romeo? What does it tell you
Maybe a
about
lover boy.
his lover boy? Okay. You know, and here's the model interpretation, the model example that it shows his heart rate is making him feel torn in two different directions, right? Opposite.
You want to write all that on my paper?
Yeah. This one, yeah. Romeo's heart rate is making him feel torn in opposite directions.
He's torn, he's happy, he's sad, he's scared, he's brave, whatever, yeah.
Alright. I'm gonna keep this up for a bit longer, and then we will wait up another 45 seconds, and we're moving on to analyzing Juliet.
Get that ready.
No, not that. Right. Well,
Yeah, long, like all the way down.
no, before it was.
I'm talking about right now. Oh, my hand, my hand.
I keep cutting my shit down.
So how do you want to use it?
If I have my shit, if I put my shit down here, put my shit down like Oh, now your shit on your mind.
This one at Blue.
I always be.
No, my bad, I was
Next
easy.
part.
I was like, alright.
I just feel like energy really tells me.
How?
You should just read it, get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can show you a picture.
Hold on, wait.
I
Wait,
got my
wait,
shit
wait.
on mine.
Make sure you get everything done, we're getting ready to move on. That's bolts in the back, make sure you get everything done. We're getting ready to move on.
Waiting on y'all.
Okay.
No, hold on. Hold on.
Okay. Hold it. Let me actually erase these side notes here.
Let me get her. Lose her bathroom privileges.
You can call
Well, you are late.
She not coming back. She gonna come in and get a boom start something.
Loyal. They not even on that.
Alright, should we go on?
I might, you know, I don't want to like, I don't big ass.
About time. They take your food, son.
Who? Who else can?
Why do you take my soul?
You got 9. No, you got 8 left.
How you know? You coming?
You counted it.
You got those in the head return? I'm missing one. Who got my soul? No, that you know that light skin lady? She gave it to me. Cause I'm like, they don't have it where I'm at. And she's like, I got you. And I'm like, she said that tastes good on burgers. And I was like, oh, I should try it.
They did, bro.
One you
Alright. We're gonna do.
Who got my sauce?
Y'all, let's come back together. We're gonna do this one.
I said,
I'll tell you who got it.
who got it?
Loyal, please
Give me
take
like
a
2
seat.
offers.
Dion,
Hell no.
and our
Only got 3.
Where's
conversation.
son's going then?
Let's return back to class.
Who got my
All
sauce?
done.
Nobody. I think you.
No, I'm missing one. It was 8 in here.
Okay, we'll
God damn,
we'll
I thought you
address
over
it
there.
again.
It's 7 in here.
Don't need all of them in
I definitely. How you gonna tell me I like salty?
Bust open.
wait, that might be.
Let's return to class now that we figured out that mystery. Okay, so I just analyzed Romeo for you. As Miss Winnette and I read this part, you are going to follow along on your version on page 3. This time it says analyzing Juliet. Dion knows that he should be on page 3 looking at analyzing Juliet. As Miss Winnette and I read this. As we are reading, I want you to underline any lines that tell me about how Juliet feels about love, or any tragic flaws or traits she has, and if she's affected by fate or free will. These are the things to be looking out for. All right, Miss Winnette, I can take Lady Capulet and Nurse. Do you mind taking Juliet?
Sure.
Great.
You want to do it?
You want to do it?
I'm out.
Okay, go for it.
Loyal.
Loyal. If you want to take Juliet, I'll take Lady Capulet and Nurse.
Hey.
I'm gonna do nurse.
Okay, you
Well,
go.
I'm
Yeah,
at
cash out.
I just can't see 'em.
Hey.
Some of those words.
It's on your page.
Oh.
It's on your page. Page 3.
All right. Ms. No, you be Lady Capulet,
What's
Loyal will
the
be
ad?
Juliet, and I'll be the nurse.
Let me be nurse.
That way we have 3 voices.
Can I
Are
be
you gonna
nurse?
ask
You want to be? Yes, of course.
How does
You want to
bathroom?
be Nurse? Okay, so we're reading
How
on
do
the
you-
left
how do you-
column.
how do you
I'm
pull-
getting something
45?
Okay. Hold on, you guys. Listen up. We got a play
Oh.
going on.
All right, go. We're reading from the left column. I will be Lady Capulet. Loyal will be Juliet, and Denia's gonna be Nurse.
Alright, so y'all do that, and I'll use that.
So just hold on.
All right.
Wait till this is over, and then you go.
Mary,
I
Dad,
got to pee.
It's a little true.
Mary.
You done.
All right.
That's about the stove, the pole.
Who will be nurse?
Hey.
You can be nurse.
No, we've got a nurse.
She don't
Denia's
want
gonna
to
be
be
Nurse.
nurse.
Do you want to be Nurse,
Okay.
Asia?
Sure.
All right, Asia's gonna be Nurse. I'm gonna be Lady Capulet. Loyal's gonna be Juliet. Page 3. Mary, that Mary is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married?
It's an honor. It's an honor that I have a dream, not a.
Can I be an honor when I've been on here? I would say, so, what is that?
Thou hast.
And it's up wisdom from the teeth.
Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you, here in Verona, ladies of esteem are made already mothers. By my count, I was your mother, much upon these years that you are now a maid. Thus, then, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love. What say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast. Read over the volume of young Paris's face, and find delight writ there with beauty's pen. Examine every married lieutenant and see how one another lends content, and what obscured in this fair volume lies. Find written in the margin of his eyes the precious book of love, this unbound lover. To beautify him only lacks a cover.
Who is Romeo?
The fish lives in the sea and 'tis much pride, for fair without the fair within should hide. That book in many's eyes doth share the glory, that in gold clasped locks in the golden story. So shall you share all that he doth possess, by having him, making yourself no less. Speak
I just forgot. I just had to ask him
Dion.
about his name. Just say Guido.
We wait until we're done reading until we meet side conversation.
My bad. I keep forgetting you reading. My bad. I'm sorry.
Speak briefly. Can you like a Paris love?
You did not just see that.
Loyal?
What happened?
Loyal
You
to
saying-
your line.
I'll look. Okay, I'll look to like cut off. I'm reading Juliet. Alright. What's her name? Juliet. Alright.
Loyal? Okay, tonight
I'll
we're
look
using
at
it.
that.
Alright, I'll look to like if it's like this.
Alright, Alright, Janaya,
Alright, I'll look to like
Good God,
if,
now.
I'll look to like if looking like it moves. But no more deep when I
in dark.
I'm not then your constant gives strength to make it fly.
Thank you. That was the most rambunctious production of Romeo and Juliet ever put on. I know that was really confusing. That is why you have the right side column to help you understand what was just being said. But let's take notes on this together. Let's take notes on this together, and this is gonna be the last thing we do today, and then we'll pick up on it again tomorrow. All right.
I be forgetting we don't need it.
Okay. So, can I please return to your seat? Miss Burnett has some.
At the end of the last 10 minutes, I'll show you guys.
So every time we come in,
Not, I mean, every week, once a week.
alright,
I
see how
am-
we supposed to alright look.
What?
Why don't my Google start my ethnic at the same time in the 10th grade?
They're still tweaking the system.
Let's get through this so that you can actually see your grades, yeah?
I already saw my grades.
Okay, so as you're reading that, I asked y'all to look for how Juliet feels about love. So, what did we notice about Juliet? How does she feel about love? As a hint, it can be found on this page.
Huh?
So as a hint, it can be found on this page. But what you were saying, Kiva?
What about you?
That was fine.
Oh. What were you saying, Loyal?
So look at Juliet's line. What did she say when her mom asked her?
She's obsessed, you said?
She was all for it.
I don't know if she said that. What
She
line?
didn't say that, but you said how she felt.
Right, so how does she feel about love? She hasn't met Romeo yet.
Oh, never
She
mind. I
doesn't
thought she
really
meant.
care about it.
How do you know that, Kiva?
I don't know, I just said that.
Yeah, okay, she doesn't really care about it. There's a line here that tells me she does not really care about
The
it.
second one.
Which one?
The one on that side.
Which line? Read the line.
Well, the one that say it is an honor that I do not.
Thank
No,
you.
what is
Wait.
he doing?
The second.
Why is he not reading the book?
So,
This is the book.
Juliet says, it is an honor that I dream not of. But Denai says, it tells me that Juliet doesn't really care about love.
I don't even know how to
Just the book.
We are.
I don't know anything.
So from the get-go, what we are learning so far is that Romeo is super heartbroken over his ex. He feels a lot of emotions about his heartbreak. Juliet, who has not yet met Romeo, doesn't even care about love. She doesn't even think about marriage. She doesn't care about getting a boyfriend. She's all good.
Alright, wait,
This is,
hold on.
we're on page 12. This is the scene with you.
Oh, I found one.
Yep. Go ahead and underline that. This note here is something you can put in your table on page 6 next to Juliet's name. This is all I need y'all to get from this section.
So in all that whole scene, the line where she's like,
Based on the translated side over here, what is Lady Capulet, what is she asking Juliet to do?
between mom and nurse.
What does her mom want Juliet to do?
And then see it.
Okay, Mom.
Get married. Is there a specific person she has in mind?
I don't know.
I was just looking at that too. My eyeball hit that.
Yeah? What's the name?
Shit, I can't see from all that. Where does that? Oh, yeah, they.
Here. So here's the line.
Oh, wait,
So
and I'm
this is
over
the
there?
excerpt that we are looking at.
Never mind, I'm
Right?
ready.
I mean, it's very abbreviated.
Paris,
Right?
yes.
Here's, the nurse has this whole long thing.
Alright, so what we learned is that Juliet doesn't care about love, but her mom wants her to marry, or wants her to marry someone like Paris. Paris is another guy in the text who the Capulets approve of. feel about being set up with Paris? What does she say?
I got time in my head.
If you're unsure, read the translated side over here. What does Juliet say about meeting Paris?
Hold on, you changed the paper,
Right.
Yes, it's
So
on
now
the,
it's
it's on
a
the back page
different
4.
spot. So now it's a different spot.
How does Juliet feel about meeting Paris? You can see that.
Paris's face. And find out
Wow, clutching on my hammer.
How does Juliet feel about meeting Paris? Is she excited? Is she sad? What
I'll
does she
look at
think?
him and try to
She
like
not
him.
really
If
nothing, she
he's
just-
liking the move. You know, it's like very
I don't
comfortable.
think she liked him.
Why do you say
They
that?
talk
Because she
so
thinks she attractive.
dumb.
She might not really fully approve of him.
Y'all cannot.
All right. Thank you, my wonderful friends, Kiva and Loyal.
What?
Juliet says she will try to like Paris, this guy that her parents kind of want to set her up with, but she doesn't really like him. And we know that because she says, I'll look at him and try to like him. Juliet is not really into Paris. But she'll try.
What?
So, we just underlined and learned 2 things about Juliet and her love life. Choose one of them and put it on page 6 of your packet.
Alright,
The
so
last thing you're doing
pick your
today.
quote.
How many more weeks we got?
Pick your quote that Juliet
You got like
talks about,
2
you know,
more,
marriage.
I
We
like
got like 4.
4.
You already 2 then? More to go.
You ain't cheap.
This week already, wait, today, Tuesday?
Today's
How many days you can miss?
You can, if you miss more than 3, you're in danger of failing, I believe. Or you miss 3, you're in danger of failing.
Oh, die.
Yeah,
So
bro.
you don't get put out if you miss 2 days.
So make sure you guys get this.
You don't get put
written.
out.
Are you guys,
You're just in danger of
you
failing.
want them
But
to
we-
add
I don't
this to
think
the chart?
You only get a day of
So you can make it up.
At the end.
You can get put out. That's what my mother said too. She said,
Or
"What
the
days you
chart
put out?"
that you guys
Oh
are writing
my
up here.
God.
So, on the back page, you're
So if you
gonna
miss
pick
a
one
whole
of
week
these
and then make it
quotes,
up the next
right, that
week,
she just pulled out.
So long as you
And
can send
see,
in your work.
looking at the main text is gonna be a little bit confusing, because what we're teaching are just excerpts right now. So, it's better to go by what's on your handout to look at.
All right. This is an example of what you can put down for Juliet. So we said, when she said, it is an honor I dream not of, she's talking about marriage.
Oh, well.
This tells me
My mother really and kind of out. She
That
said 4 voice notes.
Juliet is not excited about marriage. We came up with this together. You can use this if you would
If you're worried
like.
about your grade, you wanna make sure your chart's filled out.
I ain't gonna be here.
Can you tell me about what you
In 5 or 6 minutes, I can go over the chart. As soon as Ms. No gives us a stopping point. But if you're worried about your grade, you wanna get this chart done.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
I know I should be passing. Me too.
If you're here, more than likely, you're doing just
I
fine.
mean, I'm just too little. I ain't never miss a day.
I'm in 1 day.
What?
I ain't missing a week.
So you just have to choose one of these quotes. I'm giving y'all the option.
And then we done?
Yes. All right. So choose just either it is an honor I dream not of, and then Juliet is not excited about marriage, or I'll look to like if looking like you move, and Juliet is not really into Paris, but she will try. That is our interpretation of the text. Oh, actually.
And then she keeps saying y'all like that. Oh,
Y'all want.
You got some tape?
she get mad at Kylie. She's
Yeah,
like
what do you
y'all. You
My bad,
y'all.
my zipper broke.
Girl, that motherfucker
The
made
bag is
me.
over, it's a rainbow, it's a rainbow bag.
Damn.
It's giving out on me.
I got them Skittle bags out.
It's okay.
No, it's not, what am I supposed to do? Oh,
What
okay.
you mean? I did it.
Is everybody done? Everybody got
But then I
this?
don't
So we
know.
can go on to the last one.
You got the bag.
Get that
Nobody
invitation.
can't do it.
Alright, good. You guys, everybody got this, so we can move on and get to the last one?
No, we're not doing the last one.
Otherwise, we're not gonna get the points for it.
We're not gonna get to the last one today.
Oh, we're not?
I'm just gonna
Okay.
hit to the natural stopping points so people can check their grades if needed.
Okay, alright.
Jeez.
Make sure you,
Alright, I'm
make sure you
second.
get these two. See, if you do all of this, but she counts the chart as a grade, that averages your grade out to be a D, a 6.
A
A
D.
D.
Who the fuck
Let
got
me tell
D?
you, I'm telling you this, so you guys will pay attention and get all your work done. If the first part,
Whoa.
just listen.
What
If
the-
the, excuse
Hey,
me, just
fuck this,
please.
I'm
Let her
not-
talk!
If you, can I use yours as an example? Alright, if you do the first part, your do now, the sentence, the grammar work, your vocabulary, you do all that just fine. That's one classwork grade. If she decides to use these charts as classwork grade number 2 and you don't do them, then that's a 5. A 10 plus a 5 is 15 divided by 2. I have to average the grades.
Hey, sir.
So if you don't do all of the activities, if you leave a chart blank, if you don't do something, and you get a 0 or a 5, which is the lowest score, which is still not passing, your grade averages out to a D, a 6. I give you, it actually averages out to, 10 plus 10 because, and then you get a 5. So it's 15 divided, it's
25 divided by 2.
yeah, well,
So
it averages
it's
out
roughly
so that
18,
you
20.
get like a 5 actually.
You're not time.
So,
Can
we solve grades so bottom line is, if you do one part but not the other, your grade goes way down.
Don't we do this tomorrow too?
Alright, I'm gonna give y'all
I
the
don't-
instruction that I gave to section 1 because we got into we're at the exact same place that we are in the other classes. For the rest of this class period,